and welcome back to Skipper Sandra. I'm so glad you were able to make it back with me today. So I have something very exciting to show you. I had a great time this past weekend. I hope you did too. I got to spend it with my best friend Rhonda, and I know I've talked about her to you several times now, and I said, oh, she's going to be here, but she hasn't been. And it's always, life is that way, right? It just gets us and we can't make it. Don't worry, we have lots of great things planned, so it's going to be coming up. But I did get to spend time with her this weekend and had a fabulous time. Rhonda and I are best of friends, and we have been for many years now. In as much as that's the case, we get to meet new people through each other, and Rhonda introduced me to Robin. And Robin is bistitual. She is a knitter and a crocheter, much like myself. And so in that vein, we love to give gifts. And we are notorious, at least in my family, of giving gifts early. So we're still waiting for Mother's Day, and I already have, so can you see these beautiful earrings and the matching natural stone necklace, bracelet? That was given to me by my daughter Kat for Mother's Day. And this gorgeous ring that has been handmade, the one in my middle finger, handmade from Kazakhstan. From my daughter Tori. She got me that ring. And of course, it's not Mother's Day yet, but I already have them. Matter of fact, Kat gave me mine a week in advance because I was going to be out, right? So she wanted me to be able to enjoy them and show them off because that's how we are. Anyway, so in the vein of gifts, Robin comes running up to me and says, besides hi Robin, hi Jill, and hi Rhonda. Sorry, forgot to say that ahead of time. Comes running up and says, I have your birthday present, and I wasn't sure when I was going to see you again, so I wanted to give it to you now. Mind you, my birthday is not till July. We're in the middle of May. Kind of a span of time there, but she was just so excited to get me this gift, and I can't tell you how grateful I am. It is gorgeous, and that's the focus of this video once I can get there with Rhonda. But I have to tell you, the side note is now there is a bet, because I told Rhonda that I have one of her Christmas gifts, well, the household Christmas gift, ready to go for her. And she's like, are you serious? And I said, yes. And Jill, of course, it just shakes her head, and everyone else laughs. And now there's a running bet between Rhonda and Robin that I can't wait until August 31st to give Rhonda her gift. We'll see. It's killing me. I'm telling you, it's killing me. All weekend it was like, I'm gonna, oh no. And oh no, I may even have to get her another gift so I can just satiate this want to give her a gift. Anyway, okay, so moving on. Long story short, Rhonda and I had a fabulous weekend, and as I was unfolding this beautiful gift, and you're dying to know what this gift is, right? This gift was this shawl. And it's a beautiful shawl. It has some great variants in color, and I'm just going to hold this up, and it's just stunning. Look how pretty that is. And if you're looking at it and you're going, that really doesn't look like crochet, you're right. It's knit. Remember, she is bistitual. So am I. So she got this to me, but it wasn't blocked. And as I unfolded it, I'm like, wow, this is so gorgeous. I can't wait to block it. And Robin said, well, I really don't know how to block. And Rhonda said, yeah, I have no idea how to block. So here we go. Let's block. Blocking isn't always the most fun thing for a lot of people. I'm one of those weirdos that when I was a kid, my mom used to give me all of the ironing because I loved to iron. I didn't have a problem sitting around and ironing for hours. No joke. And to this day, if it weren't for the fact that I actually had that work thing, you know, that 9-to-5er, I would even iron my sheets, but I don't have enough time, so I don't. But blocking isn't that hard. It really is the size of the project. So if you're doing a bedspread, then that can be a little harder, but there's ways to make it more manageable, and we can talk about that later. But right now, we're just going to talk about this shawl. And the nice thing about this shawl, and as you can see, I already blocked it because I couldn't help it, and I had to wear it the other day. I just had to. It was, you know, it was impossible for me not to. But it's stunning, and just because I want to show it off, I'm just going to wrap it around myself and show you how gorgeous this, and I hope you can hear me, this shawl is. Look how beautiful that looks. Isn't that just beautiful? And it's great as a shawl or a shawlette, and it's also great as a scarf. Okay, just, I love it. It's a great length too, and I'm really appreciative of it. But I want you to notice something. So this is a lion brand shawl and a cake. Apparently, Rhonda and her were out shopping for yarn. Can't imagine how that happens. And they saw these colors, and she picked it up and showed it to Rhonda, and Rhonda goes, oh yeah, Sandra had picked that up. She really loved it, but she put it back down because she was doing something else with a project. So she picked it up. Thank you again. But I want you to see something. So I'm going to come closer to the camera because I want you to see how, can you see the metallic flakes in there? There's some metallic flakes, and this is acrylic. So you really do need to be kind of careful when you're blocking. And that's why we're going to talk about different methods. So the first method we're going to use is going to be the iron. Usually, because that's the most common for most people in their homes, they all have an iron, right? This is just a standard iron. And I'm going to turn it up, and it's really hard for you guys to see because there's a handle in the way, but there's a dial under here. Different irons have it in different spots, but if you're looking at your iron, there should be a setting for like cotton, linen, wool, and it'll have like this spray thing with a cloud. That is the steamer. And when you turn this on to go block with steam, that's what you're going to do. Okay, you're going to turn it all the way up. And the reason you use steam, or I prefer to use steam, there's other ways to block. You can wet block, and that's when you just get it soaked and then pin it down, and we'll be talking about pinning. But I like to use steam, A, because to me it seems faster, B, it seems to hold better, and C, it's just faster, you know, for me. That's my choice. So when I steamed this, I steam blocked it. Now, one of the fun things with this shawl that I'm going to be able to show you is that it has two different edges, right? So one edge is the straight edge. So I want to show that to you. So you can see that's the straight edge. And if you don't believe me, here's the other edge. And this is, ta-da, the scalloped edge. Okay? Now this is just your regular old, everybody has one, or pretty much, ironing board. There's nothing fancy to it. It has a cover on it. I actually put the white tablecloth on it only because I wanted you guys to be able to see the cover that I actually have on here so that you can see it's very bright. It has a lot of color because I like color. It's just harder to see, and I wanted you guys to be able to see what I was doing. So that's why I put the white tablecloth. Now, if you have a garment or a piece that you want to steam that is bleeding color, then you really do want to have something over the top of your ironing board cover because you don't want to stain it and potentially ruin some other garment that you're ironing or steaming on that same cover. Does that make sense? I want you guys to just remember that. Now, the big thing with this particular garment that we're going to be steaming, the shawl, is it is an acrylic yarn. So acrylics can melt. It's a plastic, essentially. And so we don't want to melt the yarn. We don't want the stitches to come and bundle together. And also those metallic plates are plastic. So we don't want to melt those either. That can ruin that. And this is such a gorgeous yarn. Who would want to do that? So what we're going to do is we're going to use steam, but we're going to be very cautious when it comes to the iron. Now, one thing that you can do, and I'll use the tablecloth itself as an example, but you can put another cloth over the top, and I would say something like, oh, a handkerchief or a placemat, a thin placemat. You know, you don't want to use a rattan one or a wicker one, but you do want to use a thin, not acrylic, not a polyester. You want to use a cotton, a silk. A silk might be a little thin. Linen. Linen's good too. But cotton tends to be the most versatile. You can get in varying thicknesses really easy. Just go to your local thrift store. Just get down to the local thrift store and you can find them right there, and it's really super easy. Or just a piece of fabric. You can go to the fabric store and just get a swatch, and there you go. You have that. Anyway, so that's what I'm using. So I've got that the steamy going, and we should be seeing, see, can you hear that? It steams. Are you going to steam for me? You might need more water. It's steaming. Okay, so the whoosh woo is getting ready. We're going to pin. So what I use are just quilter's pins, and I'm going to bring this over to the camera so you can see. This one happens to be just the round head one, and I like to use these only because they're easy to see, because they're yellow. Hello, hi. They're easy to see, and also they just seem to look nice to me. You can use the T-pins. You can use those little itty bitty ones that come with your clothes that annoy everybody and never know what to do with them. You can use whatever. But using pins helps to anchor, and that's what we're trying to do. You want to anchor the pattern. So you're just going to pin, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt this so you can see what it is that I'm doing. So if you can see there's scallops. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I open up these scallops and I pin them. Okay? That makes it really easy to keep the shape. Now see how it pulls on this side? So I want to make sure that I pin that side as well. And I'm just going to keep doing that because we want to get this to look fabulous. So we're going to just pin. Now there's all kinds of blocking boards. There's the foam ones that you can get, and those are really handy as well. So I'm going to pin these real quick. And you can use those. You can use those with the Knitter's Pride. They have a fabulous set of pinning. They're like combs, pinning combs, I believe they call them. And those are really great. I haven't had the pleasure of using them as of yet. So if I were going to steam this now, as you can see, I have it pretty, just an example of how I would pin it, right? And then I would go up the other side as well. So this would be the beginnings of it. Now, what I want to do is I want to take my iron. I do not want to touch the fabric, and I don't know if you can see that steam, but the steam's coming up, and I'm just going to go over it and not touch it. Because if I touch it, that is going to ruin the fabric. It'll ruin the yarn. It'll melt it, and then it'll look really ugly. We don't want to do that. We want to keep it nice and open and beautiful, and it's just an easy way to do it. And that's one way to do it. You can leave it and let it set. Usually I leave it for about 30 minutes, and then I pick it up and unpin, and off you go, right? Usually it's because I'm going to give it as a gift, so I'm then wrapping. But in this case, it's my gift, so I get to keep it. If it were a straight edge, you would do the same thing, just across the straight side. And so now that I've done this section, then what I would do is just pick it up after I took all the pins out, lift it up, and move to the new section. Okay, I can pin it down again and then re-steam it. That's one way to do it. I like using the iron, but I'll be honest with you, for steaming, especially when it comes to acrylics that can get ruined, I want to turn this off. Remember, everybody, safety first. So turn that off and keep it to the side. That's hot. It can melt things and it can burn you. Imagine if it burns this, it'll burn you. So we want to keep everybody safe, and that is a great way, but you have to be very, very cautious, and I'm usually in a hurry because I can't wait, right? That's why most people don't like the block, because it takes too long. So here we go again. Now what am I going to do? Okay, I need to block the next section. Well, there's other tools you can get, and if you've been looking and eyeing, you've seen a couple of things. So one thing, you've seen my stand-up steamer. I love this thing. I love it. It's one of my best friends. This is actually a very old one, and it's kind of Frankensteinish because my old steamer died, and it had this great rod to keep the steamer head on, but this new one, the rod it had, the way it held the hose was just kind of funky, and it didn't have the hook to put the hanger in. Anyway, I didn't like it, okay? So I jerry-rigged it so that I could have it my way. So I'm going to turn it on and let it start steaming up, and we're going to use the steam yet again, but this time with the steamer, a stand-up steamer. Again, you can get these. They're not all that expensive. I believe Target has them. Fred Meyer's has them. Sears has them. Most everybody has them. You know, anyone that has household appliances usually has a steamer. And I think I've seen it on HSN, you know, all kinds of places. So take a look. Have fun with it. Look for sales. Sales, sales, sales. But when it comes to actually using tools to block, remember I was telling you about that there's the foam blocks? Well, those are great and dandy and they're very nice and they're light and everything. But I love wood. And my very beloved husband gifted me, and I can't remember if it, I know this is awful, right? If it was for Mother's Day or Christmas or my birthday. Actually, I think it was, part of it was for Mother's Day. I think it encompassed all three in different stages. Anyway, so this block right here, this square, see this square? And this is from Shenanigans, and it's Chetnanigans. I will have all of this information down below for you, but this is Shenanigans. They make these all by hand. It's on Etsy, one of my favorite shopping sites, but this is on Etsy, and as you can see, it has little holes in it, and I'll even bring it, because it's gorgeous. It really is. I love wood. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful markings? Beautiful markings, yeah, and little holes. The reason for the holes is so that we can block. And the beauty of this particular brand is that in these edges, I told him I wanted that feature, it has magnets. And what the magnets do is when I get another board, it'll magnetize together and make it a larger board so that I can do larger pieces, okay, all at once instead of doing them in small segments. So this beautiful stand also has this drawer that comes out, and these are the pins. Now look at these. Isn't this great? These are stainless steel pins in the drawer. Isn't that a great way to keep it? I love it. So with these pins is what we're going to keep the fabric on the board. So I'm going to do this. So we've gotten to this part and we said, okay, well now we're going to block this part, right? So what you do is you take a pin and you put it on the edge in the board, and you just pin up that way, the whole thing. Now it is a square. I wouldn't recommend doing all four, and I'll tell you why. So I'm going to keep these kind of wide apart. I might, if I were actually pinning this to steam it because it needed to be blocked, I'd have those a little closer, okay? But the problem with this, I'll do this on this side, is that if you do this pinning on all four sides, as you can see, these pins are pretty tall. And if you do them on all four sides, you're not going to be able to get in there. So you don't want to block, you don't want to pin all four sides. You just want to pin on three sides. And like I said, I've already done the steaming on this. So all I'm going to do is just kind of so you can get a feel for it. So let's say I've put all the pins in, and now I get my handy dandy steamer, and can you see all that? See, you can see the steam on this one. Love it. Okay, so we're steamy. And now we're going to steamy the fabric. I'm going to move the pins so I don't dump them, but I want you to see how this works, see? And this, because it's steam, I can actually come closer, and if I touch the fabric, it's okay. I'm not going to melt it. Okay, but I'm not going to sit there with it on there either, because it is a very high temperature. Just like it can burn your hand, that's why I'm not touching it. It can burn the fiber too, so you don't want to actually rest it on there. You just kind of want to bring it up and over so that it opens up those stitches and just shows the beautiful work that was done. So now I'm going to hang that up again. I'm going to turn this off, and then all you have to do is, after you let it set, like I said, it really does depend upon what you're working on. So if it's a thicker yarn, you might want to let it rest for a little bit longer than just 30 minutes. It's going to be dependent upon what you're working on. This is really thin, so honestly, when I did it, it was a few minutes and I was gone. I'm very impatient. So now I take it off of this beautiful board, and ta-da! It's pinned and it's steamed and it's everything. Isn't that gorgeous? Just a stunning piece. I love it. Again, so thankful Rhonda is always a gracious hostess, and Robin, you are very talented. Thank you for this beautiful gift. So again, having a great time. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, because I know there's some gentlemen out there, that's really the essence of blocking. Like I said, there are other ways of doing it, and so I rescue crocheted items, and this is actually a tablecloth that I rescued that has all those beautiful crocheted squares in between, that I turned it into a curtain in front of my closet. And what I'm looking for is my very first blocking board, and one of these days I'll pull it out for you. It is the funniest thing ever. I think I found it. I'm just looking. Nope, I didn't find it. Okay. So it's the funniest thing ever. It's just a big piece of wood with some batting. I think I used batting underneath, and then I used my husband's old terry robe. I cut it up and used it to cover it, and I stapled it on the back side, and that's what I used to use for blocking. Believe it or not, I did. So it goes to show you can use anything. It's just you have to be a little creative sometimes, and that's the name of the game, being creative. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I know I did. Please like it if you like the video, and subscribe. I'd love to see you coming again and seeing the rest of our tutorials on just little how-tos like this and other adventures that we're going to be having. There's a lot coming up. The summer's coming, and we have some great adventures coming up. Rhonda is going to be joining me. We have some special days coming, and I don't want you to miss out on that. So please join me on my Facebook page. All my links are going to be below. And don't forget that little bell, because that little bell lets you know when I'm going to issue my next video. And so you know, I do them on Wednesdays. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I had a great time, and I hope you did too. All right, whoops. This is Skipper Sandra saying bye-bye for now.